Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Duncan White NBA podcast. It is currently Saturday, November 17th, 2018. It's currently 11:03 p.m. And I've just finished watching many basketball games on tonight. I obviously watched the Bulls get destroyed by the Raptors. I watched the Oklahoma City Thunder game against the Phoenix Suns. And I also watched the very exciting 76ers and Hornets game where Kemba Walker dropped 60 points, but still couldn't get the win for Charlotte. As Jimmy Butler decided to spoil Kemba's 60-point night with a game-winning 3-point shot in OT. Charlotte Hornets still could not get a win, even with Kemba dropping 60. I feel so bad for Kemba. He should really try to get out of Charlotte, but he says he wants to stay there. But anyway, this podcast is going to be on my YouTube channel, TheSlamDuncan. Make sure you go like this video and subscribe to my channel for more NBA content. Make sure you go follow my Twitter at Duncan_White14. I will be posting or tweeting more NBA content on there. And also, make sure if you can't listen to the video or watch the video on my YouTube channel, make sure you go listen to the podcast at podcasts.com. Also listen to this on iTunes and also Google Play. So basically, in this first episode of my podcast, I just kind of want to, catch up on stuff that I haven't been able to talk about to my audience. But first, I kind of want to get to the most recent headlines. I'm not going to really talk about myself at all because I posted a video on YouTube about myself. So, like I said, make sure you go check out my channel, TheSlamDuncan. And you can find out a little bit more about me on my first video. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to start with some of the games tonight. So today is November 17th. I do want to start, though, with the Philadelphia 76ers game and the Charlotte Hornets game. That was an incredible game to watch. Very exciting. But again, my biggest takeaway from that game, though, is the fact that Kemba Walker still cannot get a win, even if he drops 60 points with Charlotte. Granted, Charlotte started out very well this season, and Kemba's just been lights out. But I feel so bad for Kemba Walker right now. Like, he has no help on the wings. Nicholas Batum got a huge contract, really isn't doing much. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was a second overall pick, and he has a messed up jump shot, and he's coming off the bench. It's just hard for me to watch Kemba Walker do so much and then still take the L when he does not deserve to take the L. The rest of his team does. But Charlotte, Michael Jordan there, he's just been looking for that wing player to pair alongside Kemba Walker, and so far it's been a fail every single time. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is just horrible right now. I can't. But Jeremy Lamb has done a decent job sliding into that starting role because he spaces the floor better. But they still just don't have that star player next to Kemba. And Al Jefferson's gone now, so Cody Zeller's at the center spot. He doesn't bring any post-up options or anything like that. And Marvin Williams is just a three-point shooter. So it's just Kemba right now for Charlotte, unfortunately. But enough of the negatives. Let's move on to the 76ers. So like I said, this game went into OT. And the big three now of Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, and Ben Simmons, they were kind of tested. I do think, though, they did what they were supposed to do, obviously, because they won. But in this game, I kind of realized how, throughout the game, Embiid is getting his usual touches, and then Ben Simmons, is doing Ben Simmons type stuff, almost triple-double. Jimmy Butler, though, only had 12 points going into overtime, and that was a little bit concerning to me. But at the same time, though, Jimmy Butler has showed that he's been effective off the ball. And in the overtime, he really showed just how important he is to any team and why the 76ers did go out and get Jimmy Butler. He had a big block on Kemba Walker with around like 11 seconds to go, and he also saved the ball from going out of bounds, and and he threw it back inbounds, and 76ers got the ball back. They called timeout, and then Jimmy Butler on the offensive side said, "Give me the ball. Everybody get out of the way." And that's what everybody did, and Jimmy Butler hit the game-winning three-point shot with 0.3 of a second left to go and won the game for the Philadelphia 76ers in overtime. This is obviously what I've been hoping for Jimmy Butler to do when he got to the team. The 76ers, while they've been good at the end of close games, with Ben Simmons not having a jump shot, and at times you probably wouldn't want to put the ball into his hands because of the fact that he can't shoot free throws, and then teams can intentionally foul with the ball in his hands. And also, he's not a very good pick and roll player. It was kind of hard for them to score, you know. Their main offense really was Joel Embiid, like throw the ball to Embiid in the post, and hopefully he can make the shot, which he obviously can do. But the other thing was, you know, he was kind of just creating the offense. So everybody else had to like back cut, and it was just kind of difficult for the 76ers to close out a game or stay in a close game. And that's what Jimmy Butler brings to the table, is having a closer, clutch player. Jimmy Butler has been clutch in his all-star years, and also have someone that can, you know, either ISO, take the game-winning shot like he did tonight, or he can even run the pick and roll Joel Embiid and create offense from there. Either he, you know, gets to the rim, mid-range, or throw it to Embiid for, you know, he can shoot the three or mid-range shot specifically, or hit him on the roll. And that's where Jimmy Butler's going to be so effective for this 76ers team. So far, they haven't, you know, the score isn't low. So, I mean, the 76ers are a good defensive team. So I thought maybe they'd be depending more on their defense more than their offense, because, you know, the offense doesn't have a lot of spacing at the moment. But they've been scoring the ball pretty well. So I know it's only 3 games, but so far, Jimmy Butler looks to be fitting right in with the 76ers, and I'm happy about that. Been a Jimmy Butler fan for a long time. I watched him become a star. And it's good to see him on a team with other players that really want to win. That was something that he called out on Cat and Wiggins in Minnesota. They really did have that drive to become better, to become stars, but not only stars, but become winning players. And now that he's in Philadelphia, he's already been stating how Simmons and Embiid want to win. And I think that's very important for someone like Jimmy Butler to be on that type of team. And, you know, players like J.J. Redick, veteran, great teammate, that he fits right in well with that big three. And Butler plays really well with shooters, and that's just a great fit. So after that game, though, I was watching the Bulls game, but we're going to save that for another segment of this episode. But I do want to get to the other game or actually I did watch also the Celtics and Jazz game, but I want to talk about the Oklahoma City game. They won against Phoenix Suns tonight, like expected, but no Russell Westbrook still. I don't know when he's going to come back. It said I think I saw like a headline earlier today that he's kind of iffy for today. But he obviously didn't play today, so I don't know if he'll play next game for the Thunder. But even without Westbrook so far, the Thunder have won 9 of their last 10 games, and half of those wins are without Westbrook. And the Thunder are doing a great job of, you know, keeping their defensive identity. And Dennis Schroeder has been such a great trade for them. Sam Presti did a great job with that trade, and Dennis Schroeder is fit right in, you know, and he could play either bench role or starter role, and he fits so well into that team. And Nerlens Noel is a great pickup also. I am very happily surprised that the Thunder are playing very well, and I know it's kind of like bad that they're kind of winning without Westbrook. But let's remember, they started the season 0-4 without Westbrook. So, or I'm sorry, this 0-4, 2 of those games were without Westbrook, and they were struggling. But then they went on to go and win their next 7, and then Westbrook did get injured. So, unfortunately, with Westbrook out, they've had to do some different things on offense, but it's been working. And Dennis Schroeder showing what he can do. Paul George has finally started to step it up more and become that star. Their Thunder are looking really, really good right now for the West, especially with the Rockets struggling. And I think the Thunder can be the number 2 team in the West, especially when Westbrook gets back. And we know Westbrook's going to give 110% every night. Paul George, great two-way star. And they still don't have Roberson, and they're like the number 1 or 2 defense in the league. Thunder are going to be really good. I am very interested to see if the Thunder can keep up like this, especially when Westbrook gets back. Because right now, I have a question, really, for all you guys listening and watching. So I'm going to ask this question and go answer it on my Twitter, Duncan_White14. Go ahead and send me a tweet to answer this question. But who is the number 2 team in the West right now? Obviously, the Golden State Warriors are at the top. And even though they did lose to the Mavericks tonight, Steph Curry puts them to another level. So I think the Warriors can miss Durant for a considerable amount of time, and they're still going to be dominant. But having them lose Curry has been a big hit. So that's the reason why I think they're struggling. And obviously the KD and Draymond drama, that's not really helping. But them losing Curry was just devastating for them, and he's going to be out for a few more games. But I'm not. If you're a Warriors fan, I saw a fan crying at the game. But if you're a Warriors fan, don't panic. Once Steph gets back, everything's gonna be fine. Still the most dominant team, and not to mention DeMarcus Cousins still has not played yet, so you're gonna be fine. But besides the Warriors, though, my question is, who is the second best team in the Western Conference right now? Everyone had Houston, because their big playoff run took Golden State to 7 games, but they've been struggling this year. Now, granted, ever since they moved Melo, they've been playing great, and that just looks horrible for Melo, unfortunately. I'm not a Melo hater. I don't want to sound like that, but once Melo got off that team, they've been playing better. That's just facts, and it's unfortunate. So I'm not trying to take shots at Melo or anything, but he needs to find a way, if he's going to get back into an NBA team, to readjust his not only play style, but maybe his ego and ways of going about things. I think he did a considerable job trying to fit into the Rockets offense, stand in the corner, shoot a ton of threes. The issue is just defensively. I know he's getting older, but defensively he's just not giving it. And my issue is that Chris Paul, is just as old as him, and he's playing good defense. Granted, James Harden doesn't play good defense, but Chris Paul's playing good defense. So, Melo, you really need to start becoming that USA basketball team, Melo, for you to stay on an NBA team. And I don't know what NBA team's going to pick him up now, because, people have been saying the Warriors. Now, granted, that makes sense, but if you're the Warriors, you really want to bring in Melo, especially seeing that when he was on OKC and also Houston, the team just went to trash when he was on there. So, if I'm the Warriors, I'm not picking him up. The only other team I'm thinking about is the Lakers, but because, LeBron's there, and, LeBron's Melo's buddy. But does LeBron want to bring Melo onto that team of young guys who the Lakers just lost to the Magic tonight? So, it's a risk. And then, obviously, the whole Puerto Rican team. But I'm not really sure Melo really wants to do that at this moment. But if you're Carmelo Anthony, you need to find a way to adjust your game so you can fit in a team and not derail a team's success. So Houston did win again, and now they're looking up, but I would not have them as the second best team in the West. Denver. I had Denver for a good, at the beginning of the season, but then they started losing games because they started to not play as much defense that they need to play to win games. I mean, if Denver keeps the team under 100 points, really under 110 points, they usually win because that offense is so good. But I would not put Denver at number 2 right now, but like you can argue they're number 2. I mean, the West is so like jumbled up at this moment that it's kind of hard to tell who's the number 2 team, because Warriors are just at the top, and then who's number 2. In my opinion, as of right now, Oklahoma City is the second best team in the West. As of right now, it is November 17th, so this is as of right now. I'm not saying they're going to be the second best team come April, but as of right now, I think they're the second best team in the West, and the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors. I mean, Rockets, they're just not the same defensive team, and they've been struggling. I don't even want to hear anyone say the Lakers just because they got LeBron. I don't want to hear it. Portland, while they've been playing well, I don't trust the fact if Lillard or McCollum has struggles in a game, they're not going to win. Just plain and simple. Lillard and McCollum is basically the Blazers' entire offense. Now, granted, their bench has gotten better, especially better from last year. But I still don't trust the fact that they only have two dynamic guards. I thought they should have traded for Jimmy Butler, trade McCollum for Jimmy Butler. That would give him another option and also more defense, but they didn't do that. So I'm a little concerned with Portland. That's because I don't have them at number 2. And that's where I go to OKC. You got Russell Westbrook, you got Paul George, 2 stars, one's an MVP, and then Dennis Schroeder coming off the bench, Nerlens Noel off the bench, Alex Abrinas, Hamidou Diallo has been a steal this year from the second round. He's been looking good. The Thunder have depth now. That was one of their main weaknesses last year also, and years before that. They just didn't have depth. Now they have depth. Russell Westbrook, and then whoever starts at the 2 guard, which it could be Ferguson. It's Ferguson right now, but once Robertson gets back. But even right now, without Westbrook or Robertson, Schroeder as your starting point guard, and then Raymond Felton as your backup, that's good. That's really solid. And then Ferguson, Abrinas, Diallo, they kind of just all, fit in the wings. Having Paul George there is right now your number 1 guy, but he's a 2-way star. And then Jimmy Grant, good defender, great rebounder, athletic. He's a great, stretch 4, I guess you could say. And then Steven Adams in the center, and with Nerlens Noel backing him up. That's really solid. And I think they're going to be the most consistent team as of right now because their defense is so elite without Robertson there, without Westbrook there. And that is going to continue throughout this entire season. And then add in Westbrook's offense, and then that's going to be a force. And with so many questions right now in the Western Conference with all these teams, like I have to put Oklahoma City Thunder number 2. So that's just my thoughts though. But definitely answer this question on Twitter. Go ahead and at me. Put in like question of the day or QOTD, so I know what you're tweeting at me about. But I want to hear your thoughts though on who is the second best team in the Western Conference. I am very interested to hear other people's responses for that. Now I do want to talk about the Eastern Conference as of right now. So Toronto just destroyed the Bulls tonight, but I'll get to that later. I have, as of right now, I have like 5 teams that are locks for playoffs, and I'm kind of interested just to see how the last 3 spots in the East are going to play out. I don't know who's going to get in, who's not going to get in. I'm going to check to see who's in at the moment, but I think there are like really 4 powerhouses for the Eastern Conference. Obviously with Toronto at the top. Then I have Boston. And this isn't going by standings at the moment, but as of right now, Toronto's at the top, and then Boston. Then for me, it's Philly, then Milwaukee, and then Indiana's gonna be I think it's gonna be the 5 seed. But For who I have making the Eastern Conference Finals at the moment is going to be Toronto and Boston. While I do think the 76ers did get better with getting Jimmy Butler, are they better than Toronto? I have to say no. Are they better than the Celtics? I have to say no. I said this in my first video. I'm worried about the spacing with Philly. Now, granted, next year though, I think it's gonna be a different story, especially if Butler signs the extension. But as of right now, Toronto and Boston are just looking really solid to me. I know Boston lost tonight to Utah, but they're playing back to back. So, Toronto with Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard showed he's still a top 5 player in this league. Kyle Lowry is being a fantastic point guard, and I have no concerns as of right now for Toronto. They have depth everywhere. Pascal Siakam is just, taking himself to like most improved player category, but that's going to be Zach LaVine's. But Toronto is looking really solid. They do a good job of playing good defense, and I noticed this a lot tonight in the Bulls game. Like, they use their hands a lot, and they're just always active, and that's what Toronto needs to do consistently throughout the entire season for their defense to be elite, and then for them to be elite team. And then Boston, I know they've been struggling on offense, but they're still like top 3 defense in the league, so that's going to stay there. I don't expect that to go away, and they're going to start hitting shots at some point. Like, they're the Boston Celtics, and watching that game, the Toronto and Boston game that was on Friday, like, I tweeted out, like, please tell me this is a preview of the Eastern Conference Finals, because that will be a fantastic series to watch. Kyrie Irving went for 47 points that night. It was a fantastic game. Went to OT. And I love seeing that type of basketball. Really competitive. It's a lot of gutsy plays. I hope they meet in the playoffs. But with Boston, though, I know they've been struggling. Gordon Hayward is still getting back. So, I'm not too worried at this moment. It's November. Let's start talking in January if their offense is still really struggling as it is right now. They just can't hit threes. And we all know that three-point shot's going to start falling, and they're going to be fine. That offense is going to come to life. That defense is going to stay good, and everything's going to be fine for the Celtics. And I think they're going to be right there, and if not above the Raptors come into mid-season, especially around the All-Star break. I do have one thing, though, for the Celtics that's been kind of like driving me a little crazy. Irving's obviously number 1 guy, and if he goes, that team goes. So he needs to, get his shots up. But for the rest of the team, like, it's just kind of hard to watch Tatum be, sometimes, and some nights the number 2 guy, but then other nights he's just like an afterthought, and he kind of just doesn't score a lot. Gordon Hayward's still kind of getting into things, so, I'm not going to get onto him a lot. But then also Jaylen Brown, he's just kind of like that guy in the corner now, and I feel kind of bad for him because there's just so many weapons on the Celtics that, everybody has to get their touches, but like Jaylen Brown's like, in that starting 5, he's almost like the 5th guy to be thought of, It's like Irving, then like Tatum, Horford, Hayward, and Brown. So Brown's just kind of like, the 5th guy in that starting lineup. Brad Stevens, though, has done a good job with his rotations by, I tweeted this out on the opening night against Philly. But, just if he takes out 2 guys, let's just say, for instance, he takes out Hayward and Brown, for example, out of the starting lineups. So let's say like around 6-minute mark in the first quarter. Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, and Al Horford are still in the game. Not to mention that he just inserted Rozier into that lineup. And then probably also maybe Aaron Baines, Marcus Morris Sr. That is still a fantastic lineup out there on the court. Like, that's really good. And you can always have, either Tatum or Irving or Brown on the court at all times, and that's fantastic for the Celtics. And that's where I think the Celtics are going to really start getting above other teams, is because of the fact that they have so much depth, and more depth than the Raptors, that they're just going to be fresher in the mid-season when teams might start hitting a wall, and especially at the later ends of the season, coming into the playoff times, their legs should be fresher, and they're just gonna have more energy, and they're gonna still have that solid defense. And that's gonna put them above the rest of the Eastern Conference. So that's where the Celtics, I think they're gonna be either right with the Raptors or above the Raptors come end of the season. But I do want to see them in Eastern Conference Finals. That would be a fantastic season or series to watch. Philly, I know we're still just kind of seeing how this all plays out still, but they could become better than both the Raptors and the Celtics. But I just don't see that. I mean, something astronomical has to happen, like Ben Simmons getting a jump shot in the middle of the season for me to put them above the two teams. So I don't think that's gonna happen. But I'm telling you, like, coming next year, that's gonna be, I think, a different story. I think Phillies could be, next year type of team. I think the expectations were really high for this season, so I kind of want to pump the brakes on them, not expect them to get to the finals immediately. So I think 3 seed, and they're gonna be a really tough out in the playoffs. But as of right now, I like where they're going. Excuse me. I like where they're going. Win against Charlotte is big, especially for Jimmy Butler hitting a game-winning shot. It's just continue just to develop, especially Embiid and Simmons. Just develop. Have Butler there to be that leader also. It's just it's looking good for next few years. Let's just pump the brakes for this year. And then Milwaukee has been a surprise to me in a sense. I knew they could be better than last year, especially with Coach Budenholzer coming in. Like I thought he could be a great coach. I just didn't think that their new acquisitions is going to be like that effective. Especially Brook Lopez. Like, oh my goodness, Brook Lopez and his 3-point shot has just been amazing for the Bucks. Giannis is still looking like Giannis, except he's shooting like 10% from 3-point range. But he's just his game is run down the court and dunk it, really. Chris Middleton, I think, is probably going to be an all-star this year. And he's looking really solid. He's so smooth. Just great shooter, great defender. Perfect fit alongside Giannis. And the rest of the team is just playing so well. They're put up a lot of threes, which fits really well into their system. But that also spaces the floor enough because they're all athletic and they can all go to the rim and finish strong, especially Eric Bledsoe. So that system is looking really well for the Bucks, and I'm liking it. Again, though, I can't put them above the top 2 teams in the East. So, all right. So enough catching up though on my thoughts so far. I kind of want to get into some more of the recent stuff, and I do want to talk about the Warriors drama. Sorry for that quick transition, but I do want to get some other stuff. Warriors drama is, and I'm a bit late to this. I kind of wanted to just think about it for a couple of days before I really start talking about it. I could have talked about it in my first video. Granted, that video did take a couple days for me to get up after recording it, but this Warriors drama thing. Now, I know they did lose to the Dallas Mavericks tonight. It's hard for me to kind of look at because obviously I think Draymond did not make the right decision at the end of the Clippers or end of regulation for the Clippers game. When he got that rebound, he didn't pass it to KD for KD to take the last shot. Instead, he dribbled it up the court and then lost the ball, and then he went to overtime, and then they lost. Like, while, that I do think that was the wrong play, I also think that it was wrong for kind of KD to kind of just like go up to him and be like, start kind of yelling at him. And like, Draymond Green is a pit bull. Like, and if you know anything about pit bulls, if you attack a pit bull, pit bulls could come right back at you. So KD, knowing Draymond as his teammate, probably shouldn't have went up to him and like attacked him, but instead just talked to him. And that's where I think KD is kind of at fault. And I just thought, I didn't think it was going to break the locker room. I didn't think it was going to be this big of a headline. But now, because they started losing, and things just aren't looking so fantastic for the Warriors because we have such a high standard for them. Like, it's becoming a bigger headline, and now we have fans crying, according to Bleacher Report. And like, I don't want, like, it shouldn't be that big, in my opinion. I think just, it's fights between teammates are common, and in this day and age, though, everyone's just, so nice to each other and everything like that. But fights between teammates are common, and no punches were thrown or anything. Now, Draymond did say some stuff to Durant, which I'll get to in a minute, but fights are common. I think, if anything, it's going to really help the Warriors eventually, especially when Steph comes back. And luckily, Steph's been with the team on the road trip, so he's helping. I think he's helping the team out a lot. Just stay together as a unit. But I think the Warriors will be fine. Now, let's address what Draymond did say to Kevin Durant, and then saying that, like, how he didn't really trust Durant, saying like he's gonna leave next year, and even if when he does leave, they'll still win without him because they already won without him. Now, while Draymond Green is right about that they did win without Durant, that is kind of a really crazy subject to bring up, but it has sparked now the question: is Durant staying? And if the Warriors do win a championship and three-peat, which it's looking like that this year, even with all this drama going on, and if they stay healthy, do the Warriors three-peat? Yeah, I think they do. I don't really see any team having the ability to beat them in 7 games, except for the 2 teams in the East, really, for the Raptors and Celtics. Like, I think they can put up a fight, but I don't think they're going to win. Maybe 6 games for both teams against the Warriors in the finals. But so let's say the Warriors do win, right? If I'm Durant, you have to start, I think you do have to start kind of thinking, well, first off is get the money, because he's taking pay cuts a lot for the Warriors to keep, have Steph Curry get the Supermax and keep Iguodala and Livingston. So for him, this free agency, I think it's to get his money. But then I think you do have to kind of consider, should I stay with this team? And, well, now I have 3 rings, so do I build my legacy with the Warriors still, and still have the kind of asterisks by my name when we come down to talking about some of the greatest players of all time, because we always look at rings? Do I have that little asterisk right there, or do I go to my own team, like a place like New York, who has Porzingis there when he's healthy, or do I go to LA? And I'm not gonna say go to the Lakers, which Stephen A. Smith has brought up, which I think that's a horrible idea to go play with LeBron. But do I go to the Clippers? Maybe stay in California, go to LA, and because it's LA, they could probably attract some other big name there. And I know it's not the Lakers, I know it's not the purple and gold, but it's still LA. And do I take over my own team? Because this Warriors team is still Steph's team. It's not KD's team. So for him, it's like, does he go to his own team? I don't really want to start speculating like that much, though, because it's November. Like, we still have to just worry about this season, 2018-2019 season. But it did kind of spark that idea, and I think that I don't think Draymond Green wanted to really do that, and I think that's kind of come back and hurt him. But overall, I think this fight that happened, I think it's going to help the Warriors in the end. I already talked about how the Rockets are basically better off without Melo there. Unfortunately, I talked about OKC already, playing really well. I also talked about the top 5 teams in the East. So that was kind of stuff I wanted to hit. Now I kind of want to get to my little Bulls segment. For future podcasts, kind of get prepared for this type of segment. It's either gonna be me ranting, or it's gonna be like me talking a lot and just analyzing a lot for probably a good amount of time. Hopefully not too long. I don't want to bore people. But just get ready for like a Bulls segment, because they're my team. It's kind of hard to watch for right now, but I still have my thoughts and I'm still keeping up with them. Yeah, I'm not gonna give up uh my hopes on them, but it's hard for me to watch sometimes. But first off, though, I want to say I'm sorry for the weird transitions. It's kind of late, so I'm just kind of talking. But anyway, back to the Bulls now. So Bulls basically lost by 40 tonight to the Toronto Raptors. This is coming off a back-to-back. So they lost to the Bucks yesterday, when they were up by 22 in the first half, and then they lost by basically 22 in the second half. So Zach LaVine didn't play today against the Raptors, so basically it was already an L taken, and I understand that. But what I saw from the last two games from the Bulls, Friday against Milwaukee, today against Toronto, I'm just so disappointed right now on how, I don't know if it's the coaching staff, I don't know if it's Fred, I don't know if it's just the players, because Krista and Markkanen and Portis and Valentine are out, and those are 4 key pieces. But you can't lose by 40 to any NBA team. I don't care if the top team in the NBA and you're the worst team in the NBA. You can't lose by 40. That just shows you're not putting in effort. And this is not to every single player on the team. I think tonight, Justin Holiday gave effort. I think Robin Lopez gave great effort. I think Shaquille Harrison gave great effort. And Chandler Hutchison gave great effort, along with Wendell Carter Jr., but for some odd reason, Fred doesn't play him a lot. The other players, though, it's just shocking to me how little effort they're giving, especially with Jabari Parker not hustling back in defense. On offense, you just don't see guys cutting to the basket, still having that player movement. Even if it's like an ISO situation, you still need to have player movement for the ISO situation to be effective, or else it's double team him, and then it's probably a turnover for the Bulls. I'm just shocked by how little effort's been given. Even with, I know Zach LaVine's out tonight, so you're probably thinking, all right, we already took the L. Well, you still have to show that you're an NBA team, and tonight it did not look like that. I was very, very, very upset. I had to stop watching that game. I think part of it is on Fred. Now, I don't really want to judge Fred and if he should be fired or not until we have basically everybody back healthy, and I want to see how he runs the team with Markkanen healthy, Portis healthy, Dunn healthy, and you had the big 3 of Dunn, LaVine, and Markkanen all together. I want to see then I'll judge Hoiberg. I know he hasn't had like the perfect chance to show what he can do, because first 2 years he didn't have his team that he wanted, and then last year was the rebuild year. LaVine was out for most of the year. So he hasn't had the perfect chance to show what type of coach he is. But if there's one thing that you can still show as of right now, is that you're still calling the right plays, you're still running the right offense, you're still helping players out and trying to help them know the defensive schemes and everything, and make them put in effort. And that did not happen this last 2 games. In last second half against Milwaukee and then today. It just drives me insane. And I think it's partially on the coaching staff. And I'm just talking about effort. And effort should be in every single play of every single basketball game. No matter who's playing, no matter what team it is, you need to give effort. And that just did not show. And it's sad. And I think part of that is on the coaching staff, and I think part of it's on Hoiberg. I'm very disappointed with how the players played. It's hard to watch, and to be honestly, part of the reason why I even watched the Bulls so far this year is because just how exciting Zach LaVine is. And I'm a dire Bulls fan. Like, I'm not gonna just abandon the team even if they have like nobody. But just show me some effort. And I don't play basketball personally. Like I'm not on a team, but when I play pickup games, I'm not a scorer. I'm not a main ball handler. I'm not the guy trying to get all the flashy, plays or anything like that. But what I'm going to give you though is 100% effort, good defense, and try to make the right basketball play. I'm not going to be out there trying to not be myself and trying to derail the team and trying to just kind of act like I don't care or anything like that. Like, you're getting paid millions of dollars. Go out there and give effort to the basketball game and at least try to win. It looks like the Bulls. I know it's a back-to-back game, but Toronto's coming off a back-to-back game and a hard loss to the Celtics in OT. Like, at least come out and show like you actually are trying to win the game. Like, it looked like even from the beginning, it looked like the Bulls were just like, we lost this game already. And I was just like, are you kidding me right now? I know Zach LaVine's out, but just show at least a little bit of effort. Moving on from the recent events for the Bulls, I do want to talk about the future a little bit. I do think the Bulls do have a bright future. I know it's just like right now it's just kind of hard to watch some of the players like Cameron Payne. But the Bulls' future though, I do like what I'm seeing. I will admit I have not been a fan of John Paxson and Gar Forman in the front office. I think when Gar Forman was really running the show and John Paxson took that step back, I think that's when the Bulls really started making some horrible decisions. For example, let's kind of track this. We had a 15th to 20th pick. We drafted Gary Harris and Yusuf Nurkic. We traded that for Doug McDermott. That then became basically Cameron Payne. Oh, but we also threw in Taj Gibson with that. So that all that decision making, that was on Gar Forman. And during that time, usually like you'd see like Gar Forman would come out and talk to people, talk like in December. So you kind of knew he was running the show. And then John Paxson really just wasn't around that often. Then John Paxson did come out and say like, I'm going to start taking more of a leadership role because he is the vice president of basketball operations for the team. And once he kind of took over, I think that's when we started going into the right direction instead of going to the wrong direction. Trading Jimmy was hard, but I think that was the right decision. At the time, I was very upset though because I'm like, we didn't get another first round pick out of this. But it ended up all being okay. Because I did think though that getting back Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and then now at that point Larry Markkinen was a lot, but I thought we could get more. But now it's clearly showing that it's hard to get more. So now, getting LaVine, who looks like he's going to be a star, should be an all-star this year, most improved player this year. And then Chris Dunn, good point guard. I do want to say, like, with Chris Dunn, I think he can be like a Gary Payton type role, defense first, and then his offensive game will come. And then Markkinen, who's looking great, and I was very upset when he got injured this season. I'm looking forward to when he gets back, and I really want to see him alongside Wendell Carter Jr., who's been playing very well, and should be in the top 4 of Rookie of the Year voting so far. But with the core that we're having right now, I'm liking where we're going, and I think this core that we have is really from John Paxson and his decision making. I think when John Paxson runs the show, I think the Bulls just run better as an organization. With Gar Forman, I don't really think he does that well. And it's been weird because the end of last season, John Paxson did the press conference. It was like the end of the year press conference. And Gar Forman wasn't there, and he usually is there. And people asked John, "Where is Gar Forman?" And he said, "Oh, he's out on a scouting trip," and still said something like that. And it was just odd for me to hear that because usually he's there, but it just kind of like, and this is what also John Paxson says, like Gar Forman's been out scouting a lot of guys, and doing a lot of scouting activities overseas too, throughout the year. And when Paxson said that, it kind of hit me like, that means John Paxson's been in charge of the front office basically, and I think it's been good because I think the team has been running better, and it just gives more hope. So yeah, I do like that, and then the Bulls with their core with Dunn, Levine, Markkanen, and Carter Jr. and Portis off the bench. I really like that core, and I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. Wait 2 more years, I think. Could be a top team in the Eastern Conference if everybody develops as they should. So I think it's gonna wrap up my Bulls segment for so far for first episode. I expect more in later episodes. I'm sorry if I kind of sound a little sick. I've been kind of battling a cold, and I'm sorry if my voice kind of sounds a little raspy. It is also late at night, but to wrap up this episode, I do want to kind of recap some stuff. For MVP, just as of right now, I do have Stephen Curry. I know he's injured, but he's just been lights out so far this year. And I think it's showing as of right now just how valuable he is to the Warriors. And even though the Warriors are the most dominant team, without Steph, they're just not the Warriors really. Klay Thompson's not Klay Thompson. Durant's not Durant. Draymond Green's not Draymond Green. When Steph's there, they're the Warriors and everybody plays the roles the way they should. I think Steph is being out shows how valuable he is to that team. So, and I know it's because they're the super team that, neither Durant or Steph should win another MVP, but as of right now, I have Steph. I think it's going to change though when we get later into the season. Who's my number 2? It's kind of difficult for me. I have to go with Giannis just because how well the Bucks are playing. But again, though, I do expect that to kind of change later into the season. I don't really expect the Bucks to be number 2 when the season comes to an end. So, I kind of do expect though, Kyrie Irving or Kawhi Leonard to get into that race when it comes to the end of the season. Most improved player for right now, it's Zach LaVine. That's no question. Only played 20-something games last year, coming out this year, and just at one point averaging 27 points per game. And I know it's been lowering ever since, but just showing that he is a star now. He's going to be an all-star, or should be an all-star. Making that jump from just being kind of an average player to then a star that obviously should be most improved player. Even with the whole record situation, I know it's usually most improved player has to have a good record, but I mean the way Zach's been playing, it's just I don't even think that's gonna really matter. And the Bulls probably not gonna make the playoffs this year. I thought they would if everybody was healthy at the beginning, but I think it could be a bubble team, and because of that, I think he can still win most improved player. I did have Karis LeVert at number 2 before that horrific injury. Luckily, it's only dislocated ankle, and he could return by the end of the season, so that's good news. It was really sad to see Karis LeVert go down like that. Karis LeVert's done a great job becoming a two-way player, and the Nets really needed some guy to really take the lead. And that's what Karis LeVert was doing, and unfortunately he got injured. But he was my number 2. Rookie of the year, Luka Doncic for me is right now leading. I guess a lot of people had that hype, and I kind of had that hype too, coming off last year's rookie class, where I thought Donovan Mitchell should have won Rookie of the Year, but Doncic has just been consistent throughout the entire season. That's the reason why I'm giving it to him as of right now. Again, that could change. But, I mean, so far this rookie class just hasn't had that hype. Bagley in Sacramento right now just hasn't really done much, unfortunately. And there was now a rumor that Dave Yeager in the front office is just they're not getting along right now, so he might get cut. But, Yeager has just been not giving Bagley a lot of minutes. He's been coming off the bench, and Bagley just kind of plays 6 minutes in the third or fourth quarter and stuff like that. And it's he's not getting consistent minutes. He can't really show what he can do on the basketball court. So it's kind of unfortunate because I am a Duke fan to see that. So that's just unfortunate to see. It's because I thought Bagley could win Rookie of the Year. I didn't have him, but I thought he could win it, or just at least be in the conversation. But that's just not gonna happen at this moment. I haven't really heard much of Jaren Jackson Jr., but unfortunately he's playing behind Gasol right now in Memphis, which I just don't understand. If you're Memphis, you're not gonna get anywhere. And this is no disrespect to Memphis, and I'm sorry, Memphis fans, but I know Conley and Gasol are back, but you're not really getting anywhere. You still got that Chandler Parsons deal to deal with. I'm kind of shocked how that all worked out, but yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr., I've not really seen much with him. Number 2, though, it's kind of tough for me because just how expectations kind of were. I'm going to say Trae Young for right now because he's, I think, 3rd or 4th in the league in assists. I did not expect that. His shooting has been atrocious, though, so that's where I'm kind of iffy. But I'm going to give it to him at the moment because of his playmaking ability and the fact that he's also on the Atlanta Hawks, who don't have that many options besides of him. So him getting a lot of assists on the Atlanta Hawks team, that's really good. I'm going to give him credit for that. Number 3, I guess I just have to go with DeAndre Ayton. I want to put Wendell Carter Jr. in the top 3, but due to recent games, I can't. I had him in the top 3 a little bit ago, but recent games, I just can't right now. DeAndre Ayton is just, solid, just living up to expectations. But he has not been better than Doncic or Trae Young, unfortunately. But, just double machine, that's kind of usual. That's what I expected from him. So he's number 3 for me. Just not that. I just don't see him having that much of an impact on the game as of Doncic or Young is doing. Trae Young, he's basically the guy. Doncic, he's also the guy. And I know Ayton, has placed second fiddle to Booker, but I just haven't seen him being as effective as I thought he could be. I know he's not that good at defense. He said I thought he was gonna be a little bit better, but he's really not that great on defense. And I thought he could be that type of guy to play the Embiid role, maybe, where he can come down and be that post-up option. Now, Embiid did say that he's not, Ayton is not him. So, I guess Embiid was right because no one's Embiid in this league. But I thought he could have that type of effect, being that post-up option, just take advantage of any type of switching on defense. But I don't know if the Suns are really featured him like that. I haven't watched a lot of Suns games, so I really shouldn't talk much about it because I'm not 100% sure. But he just hasn't been that effective as I thought he would. Then number 4, I have Wendell Carter Jr. A lot of people were, when I first heard that when the Bulls did draft him, a lot of the reaction was horrible. I'm just like, are you serious, you guys? Did you not watch this man with Duke? Now, granted, because I am a Duke fan, but even just watching Duke in the tournament, you should have seen the effect that Wendell Carter Jr. has on a basketball team. And I knew the Bulls needed a center to pair alongside Mark, and I thought Carter was going to be perfect for that. And Carter can post up. I haven't seen a lot of that this year. I wish Hoiberg did more of that, but that's up to Hoiberg. And then Carter Jr. on defense does a great job just going straight up. And he gets a lot of block shots. I think that itself shows his effectiveness on the game, and then his ability to hit the mid-range shot, good screens, hit the three-point shot, good roller, and you can throw it up to him for the lob. That's his offensive skills, and he's looking really good. Unfortunately, though, I wish Hoiberg featured him more in the offense. And I get that it's Levine and Parker as of right now, but even when more guys start coming back, it's going to be hard for him to, have some more touches. But luckily, Wendell Carter Jr. knows that he he can be very effective in that Al Horford type of role where he doesn't always need the ball to be effective, and he's also willing to sacrifice for that. Coach of the year, I'm going to just, as of right now, I'm just going to give it to Nick Nurse. I did not expect the Raptors to be this great. I thought they're going to be still in top 3, but I didn't expect them to be this great, this high level of a team. I think Nick Nurse has done a great job featuring Kawhi Leonard and bring him into the offense really well. And having Kyle Lowry just understand, and I think Lowry understood this a lot last year too, but don't only score the ball. You know, when you hear Kyle Lowry be called a shot creator, that doesn't always mean shots for himself, but also create shots for his teammates. And Lowry's done a great job of being a point guard this year. And just the Raptors' depth is really good too. Pascal Siakam was taking the next step. I wish Delon Wright got more minutes. I think he could still be really solid, and he's been solid, but I think he can still be better. Fred VanVleet doing good. And I do like the move to put Valanciunas on the bench and start Ibaka at center. I thought that was a fantastic move, and it's obviously showing. You know, Raptors do a lot of switching on defense, and I think it's working out really, really well for them. Defense player of the year, while there's not a lot of defense being played, unfortunately, and it's kind of sad. Like I am a big defensive guy. I wish the scores were much lower because I think that allows for more competitiveness in the game, and more teams could be in more games, and you're gonna see. Like, it's also more exciting when a team makes a shot because, you know, there's not a lot of shots going in initially. So it's not going to be so boring to see someone hit a 3 or something like that. But I guess I have to give it to Giannis at this point because of the fact the Bucks are, you know, in the top 5 defensive teams in the league. And, you know, Giannis is doing a lot of things, you know, guarding best player, steals and blocks, you know, anchoring that defense because Brook Lopez is not a good defender. But at the same time, though, with Giannis, like, they have Bledsoe and Middleton, Brogdon all out there, and they're all good defenders too. So, but because the Bucks are so high defensively, I have to give it to Giannis. So, I mean, and he has the stats to back it up too. So I'm just gonna give it to Giannis. Now, 2 and 3. It's kind of hard for me to say because, you know, like with the Celtics, I can't really give it to anybody. Like, I guess Horford, but I'm not going to give it to Horford. Raptors, I could say Kawhi, but I think he's missed too many games for me to give it to him. And then I also don't think the Raptors are like that fantastic of a defense. And then I think like the other team's OKC that is really good defensively, and I have to like give it to like Steven Adams then because he's really the guy that's locking down the paint for the Thunder, and the Thunder do a great job of switch everything on the perimeter, but then just keep Adams in the paint and get the rebound and contest the shot, and he's done a great job of that this year. So, you know, so I'm going to go with Giannis and then probably Steven Adams for number 2. With that, though, I think I'm going to wrap up this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to the first ever episode of the Duncan White NBA podcast. It is now November 18th because now it's 12:02 a.m. Central Time. So hope you guys enjoy listening. Remember to like the video if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel, TheSlamDuncan, on YouTube. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. I will be tweeting a little bit more often. Hopefully I can get this video out Sunday. I know I said in my first video it's going to be out Friday, but I had a bunch of issues trying to upload my video, so I had to push this back. So now I'm recording on Saturday, and hopefully this will be up Sunday in the middle of the day. So hopefully you guys are going to be able to watch this and listen to this on Sunday. I might have to change that up for future podcast episodes. I might have to like record it Friday and then it'll be up on Saturday. Just I didn't really know how YouTube's gonna work out my videos, and I kind of learned the hard way that it's gonna take a long time. So I'm gonna try to upload this every Saturday, or at least someday during the weekend. Now that's gonna be my goal, and probably record it Friday. But I'm recording it Saturday today. So thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, you can listen to this on YouTube, or you can also listen to this on podcasts.com, or also listen to it on iTunes or Google Play. This is Duncan White, signing off for now. Have a good night.